Monday morning video, and thanks for watching again. And I'm really excited this week because it's Ironman week. Yay, I can't wait. Just 6 sleeps to go now until we start this year's Ironman Austria in Klagenfurt, and we'll be heading out there on Thursday. But before then, I wanted to answer a few questions. Several people have asked me, how's my training gone for a start? How has it been generally? Somebody asked me, do I actually follow my own advice? For instance, am I a coach who follows the do as I say, not as I do rule, or do I actually follow the advice I give to my athletes? And also, I've been asked, am I going to have a good race? Am I in good shape? So let me try and answer those by sharing with you my training and giving you an insight into my state of mind as I set off for this race, because I know that others that are watching this have got big races coming up, and this might help you to enter your race with a bit of confidence. Okay, so here goes now. This is my Training Peaks diary. Let's just get onto the first page, the calendar, because this is the important bit. So this is a general overview of the last 11 weeks. So back in April, that was when I was given the okay to start swimming. Sea swim, how do we do a sea swim? Okay, so this is when I was given the okay to start training. So somewhere around here, I was allowed to start swimming. I tried using my right arm, and it wasn't very successful for a few weeks, or for a few sessions, but it quickly picked up. And I was able to do a bit more. But here, I was given the okay when I came back to the UK after being on holiday or training camp in Lanzarote. Here I did the Tour of Flanders. So that was a one-day cycle route, gave me the confidence that my cycling fitness was pretty reasonable. Here's when I started hitting training properly. I think probably around here was when I managed my first master session in full, so the middle of April, so just 8 or 9 weeks ago, and things went up from there. I set off on a camp to Malaga on the 24th of April, and straight after that I came back, and then I went out to Mallorca on another camp, so that gave me a good base, good springboard to move on from. You'll see that I've not really missed a session since then. I missed a weight session last week, but apart from that, I did everything that was on my plan. To answer the question, do I listen to my own advice? I follow a mantra because I know I can trust myself, where I have hard days and easy days, and I'll take a rest day if I need to. I didn't have a lot of time in preparing for this race. I think it was 12 weeks, so I need to make sure every day counted. So I did some easy rides, very easy rides, monitored with the power meter or a heart rate monitor to make sure I didn't go too hard, and monitored by my breathing. But in general, I was using heart rate variability in the morning with resting heart rate, always under 40, always getting a good score of 7 upwards to 10 for heart rate variability, which meant that, I was recovering enough to train hard again that same day. If the scores went down, if my sleep quality deteriorated, or my sleep quantity, or I just felt unbearably tired and fatigued and sore, then I would take an easy day. I did have some built-in rest days here when we were travelling. You'll see there, the blank spaces are no training days. But in general, there was an easy day here, 5.5k, that was just walking home, so just keep my body moving but not do any, wasn't really serious activity. Alright, let's look at the dashboard, because this is what I also used to help me control the intensity. And one of the things I'm looking at is this metric here, the gap between this point, which is acute training load, and training stress balance. So here's where I started training then, 1st of April. You'll see here that the pink is at the bottom and the yellow is at the top, so there's a big gap here between the two, and that meant that I was in a state of recovery. Whenever it goes into a minus score, like here, then it means you're digging a hole. And as the pink comes up to meet the yellow, then you can see at this point here, for instance, Actually, that was a huge hole there. So the minus scores indicate the holes. So that was after the Mallorca camp there, minus 71. That was the biggest hole I got into. Got in some others, minus 30, minus 22, minus 23. I don't think I've been in anything that's been as big as that. So that was the deepest hole I got into. So you can see I backed off a little bit after that. Minus 58, minus 23, got down to minus 25. I know that if I'm in that minus state, I'm getting tired, but I can still carry on. But once I start pushing higher than that, then I need to back off and take some recovery time. So there we got to minus 50, backed off a little bit, got up to minus 45, backed off a little bit. Okay, now this means fitness is going up. This is fatigue, and this is the balance between the two in yellow. Now where am I? Well, I reached the peak of my fitness at the beginning of June. I started tapering there and trying to keep as much fitness as I could by getting rid of fatigue. And you'll see that last week I finally got into that from minus into a plus state, and coming down here now. This is where we're at today, a 12.8, and by Saturday by Sunday morning I will be plus 19. So I will be my most rested towards the end of this week. That's my most rested physically. Just to give you an idea, this was the amount of training that I've managed during that time. So this is my average 13.5 hours. These are my peak weeks: 18, a 21, an 18, an 18, and a 12, and that one was a 14-hour week. Okay, so I managed 135, that's 11 weeks on there. So it's about 150 hours of training. And so to answer the questions, I followed my own advice by listening to my body, by having hard days and easy days. I didn't have the built-in recovery days or the built-in rest days. I had built-in recovery days, which, well, they floated around a little bit depending on how I felt and everything else, and what my daily metrics were telling me. During that time, I've also lost weight, so I've paid a lot of attention to my nutrition, to eating good quality food. I've come down from about 82.5 kilos to 78 kilos, so I've lost 4 kilos. I haven't had any signs of a cold or an illness, so clearly listening to my body has worked. During all of that time, I've been able to swim, and my swimming's improved, and I have confidence in my swimming, having done the 5k Great North Swim last week. I've ridden a couple of 6-hour rides, so I've got confidence in my biking that I'll finish the 180k in Austria comfortably, and I have enough confidence in my historical fitness and the amount of walking and running I've been doing that I am going to get to the end of 42k. So, in terms of where I'd like to have been, how do I feel about that? Well, if you'd asked me in January when I first went to the hospital to see the surgeon, I didn't even think I was going to get to this race. He said you'd be lucky if you can. He said you'll probably be able to manage a 4k swim, but don't expect anything great. So I've exceeded those ambitions. I've actually got to the race. One of the goals I had was, could I get to the race without any injuries, without any aches or pains, actually feeling okay? And today, probably in the last few days, but certainly today is the first day I've actually felt like that soreness has disappeared. So I go to the event feeling comfortable in my own body. I've been healthy. I've managed nearly 90 days of consecutive training without interruption. So in terms of where I was when I started in April, and certainly in Christmas, I've come a long way. Am I as fit as I would like to have been? No, but then I don't think anyone is ever as fit as they'd like to be. But am I as fit as I could have been given the circumstances? And the answer to that is a categoric yes, I am. There's no way I could have done any more than the training there. I was on the limit sometimes, but I always managed to keep everything under control, mostly because I've been paying attention to nutrition and diet. Now, I'm going to be in a good place. According to the statistics and the data, I'm going to be in a good place physically when I start on Sunday. Does that mean I'm going to have a great race? Not necessarily. Of course, I have to take into account my pacing. I could go too fast on the swim and the first part of the bike, get carried away, try to match last year's performance and completely blow up on the run. I could forget about my nutrition, go too hard on the swim and bike, completely blow up a bit earlier in the run. My head could go at some point. I could have a little hiccup, my legs could start hurting, my back could start hurting, my shoulder could start hurting. I could let my head go, the monkey will get out of the cage, I'll start having a little pity party in my own head, and everything could go completely tits up. Or I could follow my plan, be very conservative on the swim, ride conservatively, stick to my plan of running for 4 minutes and walking for 2, and then running for 2 and walking for 1, stay really focused throughout, finish inside the cut-off, be absolutely ecstatic on crossing the finish line and having a great race. It's all under my control, and whether I can express the fitness I have now by executing a good race on Saturday is really all inside my head. On Sunday, it's really all inside my head. And of course, it's dependent on what I do in the next few days, making sure I still get my sleep, making sure I eat properly, and making sure I don't create too much stress to let the energy just ebb out. So that's how I've prepared for this race. If you've got preparations of your own to be doing for events that are coming up and you're feeling a little lacking in confidence, by all means, get in touch, drop me a line, even arrange a phone call. I'd be happy to talk through things with you. Generally, nothing is ever as bad as you make it out to be in your head, and your body is a lot more capable of doing stuff than you probably give it credit for. So you go out there and have your own great race. That's what I'm going to try and do at the weekend. For those of you who've said you're going to be following me, I'm number 404, and I'm in the 50 to 54 category, and my only goal is to get to the finish before the cut-off, 17 hours, midnight. So thanks for watching. I will be back with an email on Friday and maybe on Monday, but you might see me on a video sometime next week with a medal around my neck. Okay, take care. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.